And I say it to you here because, brothers and sisters, that's what you're doing in your contemplative sit every morning or afternoon or both. I often have found, after my morning sit, and I bet I'm speaking for at least some of you here, I wake up or come to or open my eyes, and I'm actually more negative or irritated than when I sat down. Oh, this is so humiliating, because I thought, well, didn't I let go of all that stuff? Well, you did let go of it from the unconscious, and now it's just bubbling up, you know. I'm often, if I be honest about my emotions, I'm often negative and irritated, not always, but often, after my contemplative sit. Because once you take that lead lid off of all which is unresolved, that which you hate, those who've hurt you, it comes up for healing, really, but it comes up. And I'm convinced that's why a lot of people don't continue on the journey, because they don't know what to do with all of that. I think you call it, Thomas, this discharging of the unconscious. I experience it regularly. But now I'm not scared by it anymore. I realize that I'm learning to be a holding tank instead of an exhaust valve. And I see Jesus on the cross as a magnificent, the two-nailed hands, as an image of the holding tank, where you hold it and you don't need to resolve it. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to fix it. You sort of weep over it. It has much more to do with the weeping mode than the fixing mode. And that's the place of solidarity with the pain of the world. You won't stand above it anymore. Your Christianity will not make you righteous, superior, and arrogant. It will not make you apart. It will insert you right at the center, where you know I'm complicit in all the evil of the world. And you don't walk around thinking you're better than any group. You know better now, right? You know better now, because you've seen the garbage come up, your negative thoughts, your petty, petty thoughts. I mean, that I'd be ashamed to confess to you right now. Just petty, self-serving observations that, you know, how am I looking? How much do people like me? Did they print my name big enough on my latest book, you know? Just pathetic. You know, really. But I'm confessing it because I know you have those thoughts too, all right? It's just, you just want to weep for how insecure, fragile, needy we are. And that we want all this stuff. But once I go back to the center, I don't need it. It just rolls off my back. I don't need that stuff. Well, if you're disconnected from the center, you do need it. You need to be noticed. You need to wear fancy clothes. You need to drive big cars. You need to think that your country's always right. You'll just be surrounded with illusions. And our politics is not going to change until we get beyond this dualistic mind, which is always the lowest level. Every level of consciousness, I'll try to talk about this a little more this afternoon, but gets less dualistic and less dualistic, till you can be like Jesus, who says, my Father's sun rises on the good and the bad. His rain falls on the just and the unjust. Isn't that wonderful? But I've never found that statement. I'm sure it is somewhere, but I've never found that statement in a papal encyclical. You know? Okay. Because you can't make religion out of that. Do you understand? How do you make religion out of a silly statement like that, you know? My Father's sun shines on the good and the bad. His rain falls on the just and the unjust. You can't make a group out of that. You can't create an identity of that. You can't say the Roman Catholic Church is the only true church anymore. You know, you don't know what to do with it, so we don't quote it, you know. It's high-level thinking, and people at lower levels can't get it. They can't get the non-dual thinking, which refuses to divide the field, but holds the enemy, holds the dark side, holds the sin of the world, recognizes I'm a piece of it, and I'm a part of it. That's redemption. That's a new creation. That's a new mind and a new heart. I want to end with a poem and then a small exercise. This poem is from the woman I probably quote the most in poetry. I'm sure many of you have discovered her, Mary Oliver. She lives in Provincetown, Massachusetts. She's in her mid-70s now. She, like few poets, teaches you how to see. And this particular poem is a marvelous example of it. And also I chose it especially for this group because of this theme of the good, the true, and the beautiful. This poem is called Snow Geese. Oh, to love what is lovely and will not last. That's a good poet, right? In one line, she's talked about the two biggies, right? Love and death, in one line. Those are the two big themes of everything, love and death. Oh, to love what is lovely and will not last. What a task to ask of anything or anyone, yet it is ours. And not by the century or the year, but by the hour. One fall day, I heard above me and above the sting of the wind a sound I did not know, and my look shot upward. It was a flock of snow geese, winging it faster than the ones we usually see, and being the color of snow, catching the sun, so they were in part at least golden. There's the beauty. I held my breath, as we do sometimes, to stop time. And when something wonderful has just touched us, there's the good. As with a match which is lit and bright, but does not hurt in the common way, but delightfully, as if delight were the most serious thing you ever felt. The geese flew on. I have never seen them again. Maybe I will, someday, somewhere. Maybe I won't. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that when I saw them, I saw them. I saw them as through a veil, secretly, joyfully, and clearly. For me, that's about as good a description of the contemplative mind as I can get. And I can teach that to the most secular of audiences, and they're brought in to the mystery. What matters is that when I see something all the way through. And you're those people who are willing to see it all the way through and to see the divine center and to refuse to divide the field anymore. And it is like seeing through a veil, secretly. Why doesn't everybody see this? It feels like a big revelation of a mystery. Joyfully, there's an explosion of happiness when you see things truthfully in their goodness and in their beauty. And it comes across as a great clarity. Let me end by telling you what I think is without doubt the most important thing